Well, here we are, about 15 miles upstream on the main channel of the Clearwater River in north central Idaho. I brought you here today because this is how this part of the world was settled. Idaho is the only area, landmass, in America that was settled from the west. Everybody else came across the continent from the east. Why this one? Well, because it was too rugged to try to traverse from the east. And with the advent of the steamboat, they could come up the Columbia River to what's now known as Tri-Cities, Washington, then go upriver in the Snake to the confluence of the Snake and Clearwater River at a town called Lewiston, Idaho, where we have talked about. That's exciting when you think about it, because these were very industrious people. They certainly had strength of mind and character. They were not going to be denied. They were after the big prize. First was gold, and the second was a new territory in which to claim for their own. So there's all kinds of history. This is new ground. This highway you see in the background was built in 1967. America is a very young nation. I got introduced to this part of the world when I was in college. I hunted and fished over and all through this area, so I feel right at home. And that's why I'm bringing you these video blogs from the area I grew up in, to give you a new taste of excitement and hopefully some adventure. But a story that needs to be told is this. We're on the Clearwater River. This particular place on the Clearwater River is known as Big Eddy. It's about halfway between Lewiston and a little town called Orofino, Idaho. But this was the absolute furthest upriver a paddle wheel steamboat could go, because from here on up, the water was too shallow and the current was too swift. It was dangerous, and a mistake on a paddle wheeler could cause a fire that could eliminate the crew. It just didn't seem to be the right thing to do. So they would bring the supplies up the river, because the real prize, gold, was upstream from Orofino. This all happened in October of 1860. Not much is different. It's amazing what we can learn from our history if we study it a little bit. And so the people would come up to this point, the captain would run his boat up that side of the river, and then with ropes and a capstan winch on the boat, they would lay rope across the river, tied to a tree, and pull themselves out into the current. When it was full current, they would loose the front rope and the boat would swing downstream, so that it could then be totally turned around and paddle itself back to Lewiston. That's why they call this place Big Eddy. It's the only place big enough, wide enough, and deep enough to turn one of those great big steamboats around. However, from here on out, it was leg power and arm power and horses and mules. Because the only way to the primitive area from here is straight up this riverbank. If you listen real hard, you can still hear them barking orders, trying to get the men to turn this boat around. And if you watch carefully, you might even see an Indian, another settler, or some wild animals racing through the forest. We're all Americans. But you need to know from whence you came. Because if you don't know where you're going, there's a guarantee I can make. You will not like where you wind up. But when you know from whence you've come, the path is much clearer ahead. I hope it makes sense. Peace and love to all of you. Papa Bear.